Good evening, everyone. Just letting people know that we're live and getting ready to go. Give me a second here. There we go. And also, while I'm doing that, nope, wrong one. Get Discord up and running for you guys. Dang it. Hello.
Hello.
You gonna be good? I saw you were double podcasting today.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure you weren't overly hot or something. We know how it is when we do long recording sessions. We know.
Yeah.
Okay, so also gonna do this. There we go, everybody. Hello, happy Friday, everybody. It's been a while. It's been a while since I could hold my head up high. I'm trying to think. Which one do I want? I don't want to do new videos because that's me spamming. Let's do random. There you go. Since I see people don't necessarily worry too much about the guidelines on that Discord.
As long as we're not spamming porn, I think we'll be fine.
Well, dang, you saw through my master plan. I was going to get some of my guildies to start spamming porn on all the Discord servers that I like, and that way it never can come back to me. Wait. Yeah. Way to tell that this guy isn't actually serious about doing all the porn plan. That would take way too much time. Okay. There we go. Boom. Yay. Crap, that reminds me. I need to dig out my Switch so that I can friend Brooke. Because it's somewhere. So welcome, everybody. Usually this is the time before we start things up on the podcast where we talk about stories that didn't make the cut. We actually have a lot of stuff that didn't make the cut, so we'll get to what we can. A few people wanted us to talk about the YouTube shooter, and
oh, you're breaking up.
Is this better?
Still coming in metallic.
Okay, let me double check some stuff here. Okay, swapping mics really quick. And is that better?
Yeah, there we go. That's better.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I just need to do that. So, yeah, this is usually the time where we talk about the stories that didn't make the cut. Some people wanted us to talk about the YouTube shooter. And I don't really want to do that because, to be perfectly honest with people, I don't even know what I think on the matter. There's so much information that's getting tossed around. If a media outlet's willing to toss anything around, that I don't know what's real, I don't know what's fake, kind of thing. Yeah. There's no checklist saying nope, this is legit. No, this is legit. No, this is legit. And on top of that, it really does kind of borderline into that oh so wonderful political rule. So.
Let me just get. Often Snopes jumps on these pretty quick to kind of start doing the what's real, what's not. So I'm just taking a quick look to see if they've got a comprehensive breakdown of.
I mean, the obvious stuff is, my hearts and feelings goes out to the people who were shot. It even goes out to the family of the shooter, But as to why she was mad at YouTube, what exactly was going on with it, I couldn't begin to tell you, and I've been following this story whenever there's an update.
I mean, the popular goings-ons right now is that it is vaguely related to the adpocalypse, but I don't want to say that's the only cause, because it sounds like
but then
on that, she was already a little unhinged. So this is not me saying this is YouTube's fault.
No. But then the question is, okay, how did she get on that radar? And I still haven't been able to find any evidence on that aside from, I do know that she was like an animal rights activist, and she did have some videos on there. I haven't seen them, but there was apparently some videos of gratuitous animal violence. And I'm guessing because of the graphic animal violence on there, that's probably why she was getting flagged for demonetization.
Possibly,
because I know if it's graphically sexual, graphically violent in any way, that's usually the first red flag. But yeah, that's why this didn't make the agenda, is because there's just so much that we don't know on the matter, and frankly, again, it skirts that wonderful political rule, and I don't want to go down that line.
Yeah, so we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so again, hearts and prayers go out to the victims, as well as at least in my opinion, the family of the shooter. They did what they could to try and stop this from happening, and that's the best that can be implemented. And already we're seeing in the chat, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're sorry. We're moving on.
That didn't make the agenda tonight, and it's simply because there's not much else to talk about. It is officially confirmed. Duke Nukem will be played by John Cena. There's nothing else we can add, people. No. A Duke Nukem movie is happening, and John Cena will be playing the Duke.
Again, it's fitting considering that Duke Nukem is based on 80s action stars like Rowdy Roddy Piper when he was in They Live. So
and you know what? You've made a compelling argument, Romney. I think you're right, because I mean, John just kind of has, even though like he's not as fit as he used to be these days, he is still very strapping. He's a very strapping young man. And therefore, yeah, he kind of fits the part of the Duke. He's got those strapping muscles for it. But just to confirm, everybody, he is being played by John Cena. So there you go. I hope I've blown out enough people's ears on that matter. Because somebody did actually want us to bring it up and just see like our reaction to it. Our reaction is, okay. Okay. The other one that didn't make the agenda was the Spyro Reignited trilogy. This was technically an update that we could have given, and it's just basically what we had actually confirmed it, as far as I am concerned, that it was happening. There was no ifs, ands, or buts that it wasn't happening at that point. And so the official trailer dropped this week for the Spyro the Dragon Reignited trilogy. And that's pretty much kind of summing up the opinion is if you want to know what our opinion is on that, go watch the previous episode where we covered it, because by that point to us, it was confirmed that Spyro was going to be getting a remastered trilogy, very much like Crash Bandicoot. So that's another one that didn't make the cut tonight. I don't care, Alex, that you're going to get mad that we bring this up, but it is something that barely made the cut, and that is that director Michael Gracie has updated on the status of a Naruto live-action adaptation. Okay, Alex, I'm going to ask you to do something.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to take all that bias you have towards Shonen and Naruto and all that, and I want you to go take that and put it outside your room and shut the door for a second, okay? Because the bottom line is that if this was Monica, you'd be screeching to high heaven right now.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be freaking out, actually, because I still wouldn't be trusting them.
Yeah, sure. I'm saying insert magical girl anime that you want to see a live action adaptation of. This would be your reaction. And for those who are excited, awesome, good on you. My viewpoint on the matter is this was going to happen regardless of whether or not you wanted it to happen. Naruto is just too dang popular for it to not happen. And if it wasn't going to happen in the States, it was going to happen in Japan. And then we would get Attack on Titan, the live action movie, all over again, except this would be Naruto, and therefore there'd be tons more sexual humor. So at that point, I mean, this is something that was going to happen. And my thoughts are, okay.
My thoughts are we still have not learned from Ghost in the Shell, Speed Racer, Dragon Ball.
Hey. Speed Racer's not bad. You just have to check your brain at the door for Speed Racer, okay? That's one of the few anime adaptations I actually will defend, because it again falls under the line of Speed Racer in plot concept alone is stupid and silly. So if you are actually bringing logic to it, you are just like the people who brought logic to Pacific Rim Uprising after they reviewed the first movie. You did it wrong. Go try again. Okay? You check your brain at the door. That's the way it goes. The rest of the stuff, I completely agree with you. Ghost of the Shell had issues. Akira's never happening. It's just never happening, so don't worry too much about that. I don't even know if we want to. Do we want to throw in the live action adaptations that were in Japan, like Kenshin and?
I've seen those, but Kenshin is one of those things I would think would actually work well, especially from a Japanese filmmaking perspective here.
I've been recommended the live action Kenshin movie that came out a while back. I will tell you, I'm not going to watch it, and my reason's going to sound stupid, but Alex will understand. My brother killed Kenshin for me, and I now kind of regret the fact that I have Kenshin DVDs and all that. Yeah, I can't watch it. I can't watch Kenshin without getting a little bit frustrated. So there you go. I mean, I don't want to lump in the live action anime adaptations in Japan, because some of them I've heard have done fairly well. Kenshin's one that I know gets thrown around, is fairly good. There's one Death Note movie that people consider to be very good. I think it's the one that Romney's mentioned where L actually wins. So those are the ones that actually do happen. But there you go. That's the update on the live action Naruto. If you're interested in it, awesome. Good on you. My thoughts are Just wait, Romney, because next up is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure live action.
Well, which I'm
thoroughly convinced can't happen.
Well, we technically already got one based on Diamond is Unbreakable, and
yeah,
I have concerns. Like, my sister enjoyed it, but me looking at the trailers, yeah, I mean, you can do. It would be possible to do certain parts of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure live action. So anything with stands, I'd be doubtful. But if you wanted to, say, adapt Phantom Blood and Battle Tendency, which were more martial arts based, and maybe if you go super stylized like Scott with Steel Ball Run.
Okay. Another story that did not make the cut tonight is apparently we may be looking at a return of King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead. So Mike, basically what they're saying is Mike Judge wants to get back into the limelight. I don't know if I necessarily believe it, because I don't see Beavis and Butthead working in a modern day audience. I really don't.
The revival did pretty good with it. I mean, for short-lived as it was, it's just they just worked it by changing the form, not the whole format or the whole formula, but just the way things are. You know, instead of reacting to music videos, they reacted to reality television. Other than that, everything was still funny.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bits from the revival, I didn't see a lot of it, but one was they go on like a field trip to a military base, and like I think it was Beavis, he like wanders off the tour and finds like a drone control room, and he pilots a drone.
Of course he does. Because
really
of course
funny.
he does. It's freaking Beavis. Beavis has to find the drone control room. Beavis has to be the one that pilots the tank. I'm thoroughly convinced if there was a Gundam to be had, then Beavis would be the one piloting it, and he would be the Great Cornholio while he did it. So,
King of the Hill is a trickier one. I don't know how that would translate very well to.
I mean, technically, I guess an argument could be made that King of the Hill is the more successful of the two, because King of the Hill actually ran, 10 plus seasons, and Beavis and Butthead ran 2 or 3, I think.
Pretty sure Beavis and Butthead had more than that.
Well,
double check it, but I know it wasn't 10 plus seasons.
It wasn't. Yeah. I don't think it was 10, but let me take a look.
Yeah, but yeah, between
8
Plus the other-
seasons for Beavis and Butthead.
Oh wow, really? That's even more than I thought it would be.
It was
Yeah.
very popular, dude.
Yeah, but the thing to consider between Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill, while Beavis and Butthead was going straight towards comedy, King of the Hill was kind of trying to copy the Simpsons playbook of being comedic, but still trying to tell grounded adult storylines. And so I'm skeptical because Mike Judge already tried replicating King of the Hill with The Good Family, and it backfired horribly.
Yeah.
And given the current political climate, I mean, then again, given the fact that they were able to revive Roseanne, it's kind of a case of it could work, but they would have to be very careful. Plus, another thing to consider.
See, I think King of the Hill would work better in like modern day, but doing a revival of Beavis and Butthead, I mean, I don't see how that could work. I honestly see people getting pissed off at a Beavis and Butthead revival.
Plus, another thing to consider with King of the Hill, one of the key actors is no longer around since Brittany Murphy tragically passed away, which means you would have to recast Luann, which...
And Lucky, too, because that voice is also... who was it? I can't remember. I know it was a popular musician. But yeah, two prominent cast members from the later seasons especially have already died from King of the Hill.
I mean, unless they decide to do a full-on time skip and skip to Bobby being an adult, then maybe. But even then, that
I mean, they have said they would think about aging up Bobby a little bit, but probably only like as far as high school. So,
which he was technically what was he in middle school?
Yeah, he was in middle
school. Yeah.
By the way, we should probably mention this. We're having a little bit of a blast from the past tonight. Because the original gang is gathered together with the addition of Aldo Gomez. He is able to join us tonight.
And with that, I have successfully usurped Adam in a single episode.
Tom Petty, that was who I was thinking of. Tom Petty.
I mean, have they said it's like are they continuing it or are they rebooting it? Because if they're just rebooting it, they can start.
The only word that gets shown throughout the article is revival. So when they say revival, that makes me think reboot.
I honestly think they could just recast the whole thing. It just could maybe make it more contemporary. I don't know.
Yeah. Like with King of the Hill, all you have to do is, I mean, Alex is not going to like my comparison here, but you pull a Rugrats All Grown Up, you age people by a good 5 or so years, and then you recast them.
I don't even think that. I think just do the whole show from scratch.
Because we're talking about aging up a bunch of toddlers and babies too.
There's a gimmick there.
No, but I'm saying like
the way that it didn't recast anyone, they had all the same voices.
The way that I'm saying is do the time jump. Get it so where Bobby is older, probably in high school or who knows, maybe like close to graduating, and take him into college or whatever, and basically make the focus of it, in my opinion, is more not towards the four, the Hank, Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer, but make it towards Bobby. And I don't know if you want to bring back his other two friends and then add like a couple of other friends to that. Then you could do it.
Well, then it's just Daria with King of the Hill characters.
Yeah, honestly, I would.
That's actually one I wouldn't mind seeing a revival of. Honestly, I know that like goes against the guy code for me a little bit, but I liked Daria when I saw it.
I honestly don't know why you wouldn't just start the show from scratch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could. It's just again.
I mean, nobody's gonna be happy anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well start it from scratch and make it good.
I actually agree with that. Just hit the reset button. Nobody's going to like it, and just accept that fact, kind of thing. Just hit the reset button and tell whole new stories with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Although if they do that, they do have to lampshade some sort of universal reset thing with Dale pointing out like some conspiracy theory involving the Mandela.
that would be funny. If
honestly,
if Dale ended up pushing the history eraser button, that'd be pretty funny.
I don't even want to go like that off the wall. I just think it'd be funny because you could make it a lot more contemporary. Dale would be like a flat Earth Alex Jones type fellow.
Yeah,
I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that's why I think the way they would lampshade, not actually having him hit the history eraser button, but having him go on a rant about the Mandela effect, for example, because that's something.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, that'd be great.
Yeah,
In
you know,
alternate universe, Hank Hill and I were best friends.
Hank Hill and I were best friends, and then all of the Illuminati got involved.
When did he become a zombie? Jeez.
That's how it sounds.
That's
Come on.
to my Dale. You don't understand, although the government's here to get us. Ah.
Sounds less like Dale Gribble and more like a munchkin.
I haven't done Dale in a long time. I used to be able to do a bit with all four of them, and my bill sounded weird, but now I can't do it. I'm so out of practice. All right. Well, we are a little late, so let's go ahead and get things started.
All right, sound speed.
Rolling.
Everybody just let me know when you're recording.
Yep.
Okay, and then mine decided to have a conniption fit. There we go. Mic check. Okay. 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. Just bring up all the necessary chats here. And welcome, everybody, to another awesome episode of Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, the podcast where we talk the week's events in Geek for Friday night, April 6th, 2018. It's been a while since we've been able to get together, at least 2 weeks, but I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, and we're here to talk the week's events in Geek right now, and I hope everybody's had a good couple of weeks. For me, it's been just busy. Obviously, we had to get an April Fool's joke video out. If you guys haven't seen it, we'll put in a link for the full video so you guys can check that out. And of course, I'm being joined by my panel of fellow YouTubers, fellow critics, fellow geeks, fellow awesome guys in general. And we're going to start things off with Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost Utah, of From the Shelf, Romney's Reviews, the now ended Martial March, Rhapsody in Cinema, and so much more. Basically, whenever he decides to take out his camera, magic happens. Romney, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, although you accidentally said Romney's Reviews again.
Did I? Damn it. Damn it. That's like 3 times now that's happened, and I'm trying very hard.
Again, it's the alliteration. It sticks in your head. I don't blame you.
Yes, it really does. Like, I could literally write a script like that, and it would work perfectly.
Yep, and well, to answer the question, well, the week's had its ups and downs. Without going into too much detail, I'll simply say, thank God for therapy.
Yes, actually, that does sound like a good thing for bad weeks. And also, we're being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself, who has decided to join us from out of the darkness, out of the warm, loving embrace of his Black Rose poster. Alex, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, actually. Thank you.
Were you able to get rid of your Cubey infestation?
Yes, but Homura still retains control of the channel. I don't know what to do with her.
You need to talk to her because she is really needling me and our other guest because of her viewpoints on Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh wait, that was just Cubey. Screw you, you cat bastard. And of course, we're also being joined by a blast from the past. We have Aldo Gomez of Board Offline.
Nope, Adam, you can cut it off there. I'll make it easy to you. It's just Aldo. There is nothing going on. I have taken a year-long hiatus to refresh my batteries, figure out where I'm going. I've burnt everything to the damn ground, Adam. There's nothing left. It's just
what you're basically saying is you have pulled a Dale Gribble and you have pushed the history eraser button.
I refuse to be anybody but Boomhauer. Boomhauer.
Okay, all right. You pulled a Boomhauer and you have pressed the history eraser button.
Sure.
All right. And so, yeah, we get to have a little bit of a nostalgic run tonight where we have the original gang that started in Radio SLCC, and we get to go through the week's events in Geek all together. Oh, all the wonderful times that are about to be shared. And hopefully the Mickey Mouse Riot Squad is not watching right now. Because I think we do.
They're always watching. You're deluding yourself if you're hoping you're not.
Well, I was going to say, with Aldo here, we have a couple of additional outstanding warrants.
Yeah, even if you have no warrants, they're always watching. You can never escape the eyes of the mouse.
Indeed. So let's go ahead and get things started with our first story tonight. And this one was actually a listener request and one that kind of shocked me, although they did say we covered it. I don't remember us covering it, but maybe Romney or Alex will remember differently. And that is an update on the Niantic lawsuit that happened in regards to the Pokemon Go Fest in Chicago, I believe last year. Is that when it actually went on, or when this one went off? That ended horribly.
Yeah, July last year.
Yeah, July last year. So at that point, the event was plagued with problems, games crashing frequently, leaving most players unable to use the app. And a lot of their activities, I guess, were cut short because of these problems. And in turn, they got a class action lawsuit filed from the people who attended, even though they did actually issue refunds and all that. They did want to be reimbursed for travel, for lodging, all of the things that Niantic wasn't necessarily taking care of. And there has been a settlement in that lawsuit where Niantic has settled to pay out almost $1.6 million to the class action lawsuit for, like I said, for travel expenses, for lodging expenses, all of the things that kind of went wrong during your stay for Pokemon Go Fest. And all you have to do basically is show your, what was it? It was like your proof of attendance via the app, and you were able to claim in on this one. But again, I don't remember us actually covering the original one.
I think we did, and I think I actually might have been on that podcast because I remember mentioning that I had a friend that went.
Okay.
So I vaguely remember us, or at least me, talking about it. I don't.
It's possible. If this is it was in 2016?
No, it's 2017.
2017? It's possible.
Yeah. I stopped coming to the podcast around June, July, so I think it might have been one of the last episodes I was on.
Probably. If it was around that time. And so yeah, here we go. We're talking about this. I actually kind of agree with the idea that they did settle, considering that it sounds to me, and I don't have all the evidence in front of me, but everything that went wrong during that Pokemon Go Fest was on Niantic, was on the Pokemon Company. So at that point, it's only appropriate that they, like they issued refunds. They even gave $100 worth in in-game Poke Coins, issued apologies, all that stuff. So, it's basically their botch, and this is probably the best way to be able to settle it and get people back on their side, as it were. But aside, the exact amount, I'm just going to go ahead and point this out. The exact amount is not, like I said, it's almost 1.6 million. They settled in the amount of 1,575,000. So that's how much that they actually are doling out to the class action lawsuit. And it's basically covering the cost of travel, accommodation, car rental, other expenses incurred by a large chunk of the 20,000 attendees for Pokemon Go Fest. And like I said, if you are one of those, all you have to do is show proof of purchase within the app, and you can claim expenses or have expenses refunded.
Well, yeah, but that is you also have to provide receipts of those expenses amounting to more than $107.
Yes,
That's the other key thing, because if you checked in, that's one thing, but you have to actually provide proof of the expenses, so that way you can actually be fairly compensated.
And for additional funds that don't get claimed, they have already said that they will be split between the Illinois Bar Foundation and the nonprofit Chicago Run, a foundation organizing youth running programs for kids to promote their health and wellness. So any funds that don't get reimbursed to attendees will go to these. So there you go. Thoughts on this one? I think this was probably the best move Niantic had to be able to pull out, and I'm glad that they did it. But is there anything else you guys can add to it?
I didn't really follow the story, so I don't know exactly what happened, but I mean, problems happen. Is that really any reason to sue over them? It's not like this is the Fire Festival.
I remember something about like one of their rare Pokemon events was supposed to happen at the Go Fest, and it went horribly wrong.
So this was supposed to be like so kind of to recap, this was supposed to be their big event where everybody was supposed to get together to be able to do, like, I think it was like the first like raid type battle. To be able to unlock like one of the first rare Pokemons. Which was exclusive to that event for I think about 3 months before they released it to everybody else.
So like the trailer where they showed like a bunch of people in Times Square battling Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people, so they advertised it as this big event. People flew out, people drove out, and when they got there, the servers weren't working. The event didn't launch. And I think at the end of the day, they extended it like maybe a couple hours, and then I think they called it off. You were just gifted the Pokemon at some point. Wow. So it was really botched. I mean, I don't know. I feel like on a sense, it's like yeah, these type of things do happen. But if you're advertising this as your big event and you botch it that badly, people took time off of work. People drove out there. You advertised it as like the big Pokemon Go event of the year.
This was the one, correct me if I'm wrong, although this was the one that was basically supposed to spawn a bunch of other smaller events, but this would be the big one that everything culminated towards every year.
So, I mean, kind of to rebuttal what like Alex said, no, this was their fire festival. I think it was that bad.
Yeah.
Minus like FEMA tents and blankets.
Right. Okay, then.
but yeah, no, I do think, I mean, I feel a little bad saying like, yeah, sue them, but I mean, they're a big company. I mean, they're part of Alphabet. They can take it. This will teach them.
Well, this is why I'm taking the approach of like, I mean, obviously they could say, nah, screw you, sons of bees, and I'm not even going to pay out. They could have taken that approach, but I think the way that they went actually kind of ensures returning loyalty. So at that point,
Adam,
you know,
you're also saying this like it's their choice. No, this is like a lawsuit. They
I agree.
don't have much of a choice. So I mean, they're not coming out of here looking like the good guys. They're kind of coming out of here defeated.
Yeah. But I mean, at that point, at least they're complying with it.
I mean, legally they'd have to.
Well, they couldn't. Couldn't they appeal at this point?
They could. I mean, they could appeal, and it's obvious they just don't want to do the long, drawn-out court battles, and that they just want to settle this. You know, it's that line from The Social Network. In the long run, it's a speeding ticket.
Yeah. And a serious bump in trying to get popularity going for Pokemon Go. So hopefully, Niantic, you have learned your lessons from these. And when you try to implement something like this again, should you be able to, you'll look at these problems and actually look to fix them so that this doesn't happen again. I don't know if they have they had another major fest since then. I don't think there's been another get together for Pokemon Go.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Final thoughts before we move on into this one, because like we said, it's pretty cut and dry. The settlement's out there, and if you want to get your piece of the pie, here's what you need to do it. So there you go. Moving on into the next story that we have tonight, and this one's kind of a weird one, but I found a little bit of a charm to it, and I think it was it you, Alex, that tracked this one down?
Yeah, I found this one.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just bringing this up right here. So unfortunately, I have some bad news, people, as yet another Blockbuster video has shut down. Wait, what? We all thought Blockbuster was done, right? That's not necessarily the case. So believe it or not, 6 locations for Blockbuster Video were still up and running. And the reason that they haven't been shut down or anything like that is because they're in very remote areas. In fact, the one that we're going to talk about today was based in Alaska, I think. Yeah, North Pole. So this is basically the answer to people that don't have access to great internet or even any internet at all, is that they still have to go with these kind of older resources to be able to get movies, to be able to get games. Cause I think they still provide games at these remote locations. But mostly it's going to be like DVDs. And I know that the mail service kind of still works within these separate locations. So you can get movies that way. But sadly, we have seen one of them shut down. It is only 5 left. As earlier this year,
it's 6 left after this one.
Oh, 6 left. Okay, yeah, there we go. So this Alaska store, unfortunately, is going to be is going to be shut down, and it has announced via social media that the liquidation sale is underway. So for those who are already freaking out, and I already have a feeling we're going to get 1 or 2 people going, "What the heck is Blockbuster Video?" Blockbuster Video, way back when, people, you didn't have Netflix. You actually had to go to a store and purchase or rent DVDs or VHS tapes back in the day for me. And all of them pretty much shut down because Netflix was a big competitor against Blockbuster, so much so that Blockbuster didn't stand a chance. But we still had 5 or 6 locations or 6 or 7 locations that were running, so that, you know, people out in Alaska or people who couldn't get access to really good internet or even any internet at all could still rent out movies, rent out games, all that stuff.
Ironically enough, Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix.
They did. I love that story, by the way. Blockbuster could have easily solved this problem for themselves and bought out Netflix, and they didn't. And so that's officially a thing. Yeah, so Jiminy Christmas, man. Just I mean, I kind of get that nostalgic feel of like, Blockbuster Video. I remember those days. But then there's some all out there in the chat, I'll bet, that is like, what the heck? I don't remember a time when you actually had to go to a rental store.
I mean, unless you live in like what was one of the places, Oregon.
Oregon has one.
They have two.
Alaska. I think one of the locations,
It's
according to this
story.
article, is in Texas.
No, Adam, it's in the story. There's 4 in Alaska and 2 in Oregon, and that's it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah. No, never mind. The last Blockbuster in Texas had shut its doors.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Alaska and Oregon. Holy moly. Yeah. These are areas that definitely need to still have a Blockbuster in place.
Well, Alaska I can understand. Oregon surprises me.
That's a little. I mean, if you really want to make the ultimate nerdy nostalgia road trip, go to Oregon, I guess. I mean, what else?
Yeah, I mean, there's still some remote areas in Oregon, so I mean, you could do it that way. I think like, Oregon's not the place I'm thinking of. There's I think what I'm thinking of is like Vancouver or whatever, where a lot of celebrities and authors just kind of seclude themselves in the wilderness in those areas.
Oh yeah.
So at that point, no internet, no nothing, so you can focus on your craft, so to speak. But yeah, it is kind of sad to hear another Blockbuster Video shut its doors, but I mean, I kind of went through this when all local Blockbusters shut down. So
Yep.
Does Netflix still do DVD rentals, or are they purely streaming now?
Netflix is primarily through streaming, and they've taken their DVD mail service and just established a separate website called DVD.com.
Yeah, so they still run it. And in fact, because even this article says like they still run their mail service, which was supposed to be the competitor to Netflix.
So the funny thing is, I can only find one Blockbuster in Oregon, and it's like in a pretty decently sized city. Like it's not like remote. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So
are we talking like in the middle of Portland or?
No, it's like, what is it? Like Bend, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess it's a little remote. There's like no major freeways going through it. It's like around Deschutes National Forest. So
this just makes me think back to, I can't remember where it was, but when I did actually a lot of traveling for a job, I was surprised one night when we were somewhere in Nevada. I want to say like we were on our way to Ely. I think Ely was the farthest we went in Nevada. And we came across it's not horribly out of the question to come across gas stations or truck stops that are basically gas stations and grocery stores and other stuff. And the one we actually came across was gas station. It actually did have some grocery elements there. It had a McDonald's in there, obviously. And there was a Blockbuster Video at the far right corner. So as a truck driver, you could rent, and they even they catered their market to truck drivers. You could rent a video, and as long as you were going to be on your way back, you brought it back. It's like, holy crap, man. That's how far we got. And now that doesn't even happen anymore. Jiminy Christmas. But there you go. That's the sad reality, is that eventually all things must come to an end. And it looks like at least this location in Alaska no longer needs a Blockbuster. Either they're able to get more internet or people found other ways.
Yeah.
Blockbuster just gave up.
It's probably a combination of all the different factors as internet infrastructure is expanded and as companies just come and undercut local stores. I mean, that's also the likely thing is, like Adam said, other options probably came along and undercut Blockbuster and they couldn't compete. But what happened with Blockbuster with Netflix.
And I think in the case of these locations, they're independent locations. They have no corporate to answer to anymore, so it's basically up to the business owner.
Actually, the company does still exist.
Oh, okay.
It does still exist. It's owned by Dish Network, and so those stores are still part of a corporation. It's just a case that Dish Network is just like, yeah, we'll just keep these few on life support. We'll treat them as kind of like rhinos. They're just endangered. We'll keep them around as long as we can, but that's about it.
That's what I'm thinking. Is like if there is a corporate response, they basically say it's up to the store owner to keep it afloat.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. If they fall, it's their fault, kind of deal. But yeah, it's a sad state, but at the same time, if another way has been able to present itself in that part of Alaska, then good on them. Internet's able to be taken out there, or maybe even like maybe there's a DVD.com distribution center there now, so that you can get DVDs out there.
Well, especially when you consider the rise of services like 4G LTE and stuff like that is becoming more prominent, not even just with people with smartphones, but even in households where that is how they get their internet is through 4G setups instead of through broadband or DSL. That could also be a reason why they may have lost money. It's because 4G is becoming a lot more prominent and maybe allowing these more remote regions access to the internet that wasn't available before. Because with 4G, you don't have to build a bunch of towers. You can just use cell towers that are already there.
Exactly. So final thoughts before we move on into our discussion for the evening. Because unfortunately, there's not too much to add here. Another Blockbuster shut down. There's 6 left. Here's hoping that they can stay alive, but I have a feeling they're not getting any help anytime soon.
Yeah, again, like I said before, they're going the way of the Dodo. Well, not the Dodo at this point. I guess they're kind of on the level of the Black Rhino, I guess.
Pretty much. I just got a comment from a friend of mine. So do they have an animation section that is filled with hentai that nobody actually realizes is hentai? Probably. That would be actually kind of funny, wouldn't it?
Well, there is a liquidation. So might as well go get some.
Yeah, so
it would actually be funny if like right next to the Disney section was MD Geist.
So all we have to say is move quickly, perverts.
Bible Black won't stay on sale for too long.
Yeah, come quickly or it'll be gone.
You can either get your Swan Princess or Neon Genesis Evangelion.
But
either way, you'll be fine.
But only volumes 5 and 7.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have the other volumes, but somehow they mysteriously disappeared. All right. So moving on into our discussion tonight, this is actually something that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. We have not been able to cover it. And thankfully, some of the updates that have happened since have shed some more light on the situation. And yes, if you guys thought we were going to talk about it, I don't know what rock you were living under, but we're going to be talking about the Channel Awesome controversy. So I want to say that this is yet another controversy, but this is just fueling into stuff that people already knew about with Channel Awesome. The only difference is we've had more creators leave, and now there's been more of a pooled effort to be able to get all of the respected creators that have left Channel Awesome, or that guy with the glasses, and put all of their complaints, all of their testimonies into one solid place. In this case, I think it's like an 80-page or a 60-page Google Doc going through all of the grievances that the creators had. For those who don't know the whole situation, which I would be surprised that you didn't, I think the best place to start with it isn't necessarily with the departure of Spoonie, but one of the big moments that shed light onto it was the sudden departure of Allison Pregler, aka Obscurus Lupa, Phelan, I can't remember his last name.
Phelan
Porteous, aka Phalus, Kyle Colgren, aka Owen Citizen. Crap, who were the other two that left with them? But yeah, we had like 5 people leave Channel Awesome, or that guy with the glasses at the time. And the first one obviously was Allison Pregler, aka Lupa, who had tons of grievances that she was airing out in videos to be able to show her disgust with the situation. In particular, her disgust with the current CEO of Channel Awesome, Mike Mashad, the CFO, Mike Ellis, and also brother of the Nostalgia Critic, Rob Walker, and even to some extent, Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic himself. So there was plenty of stuff to be handed out there. And as soon as Allison did it, then some of these other ones, I mean, Phelan already kind of did it because he was, I think he's her current boyfriend, right? They haven't broken up or anything.
I believe they're still together.
Yeah, I think they're still together. So he's kind of put out his complaints with her, and then eventually Kyle, I know, put out at least something saying he was dissatisfied with the way things were going there. And basically every time a Channel Awesome creator had left after that point, it was pretty obvious they were going to be giving a reason as to why they left. So now we have tons of testimony from various creators, all the way from Lindsay Ellis, aka the Nostalgia Chick, to Kaylin Saucedo, I think is her last name, aka Mars Girl. You also have Lewis Lovehog, aka Linkara, who is one of the most recent people to leave. After he actually even puts in his statement that he tried very hard to change the situation within Channel Awesome, and the only reason that he left now was because he realized there was no point. There was nothing else that he could do at that given moment to change the situation. So I'm not necessarily going to go into every single charge that came up, but we'll discuss at least a few of the major charges that came up throughout all of it. Most of which involving, again, CEO Mike Mashad. So I've actually got the document up here, and I'll just go over the kind of forward of their issues.
Well, fortunately, Kaylin, who was the person who Mars Girl compiled the document, and she actually provided a condensed version that more or less acts as a glossary for the document as a whole,
here we go.
complete
So
with page citations.
So to go over that really quick, Mike Mashad, current CEO of Channel Awesome, has a history of being unprofessional, aggressive, immature, difficult, and misogynistic. So that's the first charge right here. Second one, the management of Channel Awesome was aware of sexual misconduct and abuse instigated by Mike Ellis, the CFO at the time, and enacted no disciplinary action until over a year later. They were also aware of sexual misconduct by another producer years later, again, not acting for over a year. At least 3 victims have come forward and requested the offender's name not be printed. The next one is Doug Walker, or the Nostalgia Critic, is considered talent and not acting in any managerial role, yet has been involved in many company decisions and knew what management knew as far as is known. And basically, according to their testimony, turned a blind eye to a lot of it. He also made sweeping decisions regarding the site that had the potential to drastically affect the income of many producers without consulting them beforehand. Management of the site was of poor quality, particularly in regards to communication, organization, rule consistency, payment, and transparency. Multiple attempts to bring serious concerns to management regarding this were met with very few, usually minimal attempts at repair. At least one staff member was asked to work every single day with no holidays or weekends. She was terminated with no given reason and forced to sign an exclusivity contract, barring her from working in the industry for 3 years at the risk of losing her severance pay. And when Channel Awesome ran a crowdfunding campaign, it was so mismanaged that they were threatened by investigation by Indiegogo. They then canceled the funded show after 12 episodes of a promised 40. And we're talking $90,000 here, guys. They got $90,000 to do basically a game show. And after many, many test runs, they just decided not to do it. And when they got threatened with investigation by Indiegogo, they put out 12 episodes and canceled it after that. That's a lot of money that was still in their hands that I don't think was ever reimbursed. The filming of the anniversary movies and crossovers, though enjoyed by many producers as a great opportunity and experience, was also fraught with multiple examples of inadequate planning and unprofessional behavior, going beyond a simple lack of experience. To boldly flee in particular was not a pleasant experience for a large number of cast and crew, and the horror stories, I mean, we could go into them. There's tons of horror stories, including a bunch of them being kept in a hot attic with no water. The one that pissed me off a little bit more was I'm a bit of a fan of Mars Girl, and I haven't seen To Boldly Flee, but they apparently did one scene where she was supposed to be in the mix, but she wasn't. And then they filmed the second scene and put her in it. And when approached on the matter, I believe she went to Rob Walker on it. Rob just basically went, "Oh, plot hole," and never went back and fixed it, kind of thing. Let's see. Next one. We could literally go forever on all of the charges that have happened. I'm going to try and condense them as best as I can. But another one that came up was management had a contentious relationship with producers who tried to increase their revenue via increasing ads or starting up a Patreon. The former was viewed as encouraging ad block, and the latter was viewed as e-begging. And this was actually something that Rob was known for saying on the matter. So, I mean, you guys can actually look up the charges yourself. And in fact, I'm just reading from the condensed article. There's a much bigger one, which goes into detail of the various testimonies and statements of Mars Girl, Lindsay Ellis, Allison Pregler, all of them. So you guys can check this out.
Yep. It's 69 pages too. So this is a lot. And some of them are actually,
after reacting to what we're going to talk about next, there are 3 new people that are going to step out, and they're actually saying it'll go past 80. It'll go past 80 pages.
Well, yeah, and some of them were also submitted anonymously, since some people didn't feel safe going forward, and so Yeah, there's a lot.
And the other part that I need to go over before we get into the discussion and our opinions on it is that since then, Channel Awesome has made an official statement regarding it. And if you want to find it yourself, I would actually recommend you go check out some of the YouTube channels of the producers that left, because some of them actually do readings of it and give you their opinions. But I'm going to do this in my best PR voice possible. So here we go. We wanted to take a moment to clear the air and acknowledge some of the recent public concerns raised by content creators previously associated with Channel Awesome. Channel Awesome is an organization that respects our producer partners and strives to create the best possible environment for everyone. We welcome a diverse community of people joining together to create great videos. For the people who have spoken out about past instances they deemed hurtful or unprofessional, we sincerely regret that you felt that way. Our priority has been to help content partners succeed and provide people a vehicle to follow their dreams. When the need arose, we have distanced ourselves from people who are particularly callous, letting go of significant stakeholders in the interest of keeping our mission at the forefront. We appreciate and hear the frustrations of past producers. We're actively taking internal steps to better improve communication with our producers so that they can be focused on putting out great content. And we're open to constructive criticism, the kind that can help us become even better and serve the needs of our community. But criticism that isn't a means to a productive end does little for either the party criticizing or those in the line of fire. Our focus now is moving forward with the wonderful team we have and all our dedicated followers. We want to make our collective future the best it possibly can be. We thank our creators, team, and fans for truly making our channel awesome. Here's to creating something even better in the future.
Sheesh, I haven't seen a half-hearted rebuttal since James Franco's rebuttal for his review of 12 Years a Slave.
I believe this is the dictionary definition of non-apology.
Yep.
Like, can we dig out a Merriam-Webster dictionary and see if this statement actually comes up as the example?
It's like it reads like it was written from a template. Like it's like they just opened up the random PR apology template in Microsoft Word. Fine.
You know what? I actually agree with a lot of people who commented in these chats when these were read by the creators or in Twitter. This was written by Mike Michelle. It has to have been. It is so reeking of PR.
Knowing the man, he's too cheap to actually hire an actual PR person, so he probably did write it himself.
So that explains the passive aggression.
Yeah, I honestly think that it was very, very poorly contained in this non-apology, that he was very pissed off. And I mean, who knows? Like maybe even Rob is pissed off by it, and maybe even Doug. I can't confirm on those ends because they have been silent as the grave on the matter. But the best thing, the best solution or outcome that has come out of this, you might have guessed, is Channel Awesome, at least for the last couple of days, has been bleeding. And by that, I mean bleeding subscribers, bleeding views. They just barely put out a review for, I can't remember what it was.
Woody Woodpecker.
Well, Woody Woodpecker. And I've already seen like a lot of nasty comments that went into that Woody Woodpecker review, as well as I know for a fact that they went from, I think it was like 1,090,000 subscribers or 90,000 subscribers. As of like the beginning of this week, they are now at 1,069,000. So they are losing subscribers. Do I think that they're going to go down to nothing? Probably not. Because the bottom line is that there are people who either A, aren't going to care, or B, are just going to want to support it because who knows, maybe if they support it, things will get better.
Yeah.
So basically what you're wanting to do is what Linkara did for a few years.
Or more than likely, it could just be people watching the videos that just remain oblivious to the whole thing. Because I'll be honest, because I'll be honest, I didn't even know about any of this until Linkara's departure, because Linkara's pretty much the only Channel Awesome creator I still followed, and more because of his History of Power Rangers series. But that was when I first started actually hearing about this, was when Linkara made his statement saying, hey, I've left Channel Awesome. I'm just like, oh, wait, this was a thing? I didn't realize it was a thing.
I knew because Alex is a fan of Lupa, and he brought it to me that Lupa had left along with Phaelus, and I think by the point you brought it to me, Owen, like Kyle had also left too.
So to be fair, Romney, I don't think you're the only one that didn't know until recently. Looking at like this subscriber count thing online, they didn't start losing subscribers until maybe the 2nd, so the day after April Fool's.
Really?
And
Okay.
since then, they've been losing 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, 4,000 a day.
Yeah.
So it's growing.
It's really when the hashtag change the channel started to break out that I think more public awareness came to this. I remember when I did hear about Lupa's departure, or quote unquote firing from the channel, and of course I'm still following Lupa to this day. I still like her content, and
I even saw her video explaining.
I can still tell, and for a while I just figured, there's obviously some bad blood there, and I don't blame her for feeling the way she felt, and I totally understand. And then when the change the channel hashtag started, and more these testimonials started coming out, boy, that's when it really started to dawn on me how terrible things were there.
Yeah. And the other thing too that I have actually gotten into debates with a few friends on the matter is there actually might be some people that don't leave, because despite the fact that these creators are leaving and people are saddened by that, a lot of people do like the new cast members that the Nostalgia Critic has brought in. From what I understand, Tamara, one of his active kind of female stand-ins in his videos, now has her own series, has her own Patreon, and people want to support that. There are some fans of Walter Benesiak's Awesome Comics, which is a complicated process, but basically that's technically Awesome Comics is technically what Linkara was promised in his testimony when Inked Reality was being talked about. People like these new offshoots and series, and they look at these new creators and they don't have a problem with Mike Bashad, at least from what we can tell. These guys haven't said anything, and from what we can honestly state just from testimony, they probably won't say anything until they leave, and then we find out the circumstances they're leaving.
It's like a lot of people probably don't know Mike Bashad is the CEO of the channel. I think a lot of people still are under the assumption that the Nostalgia Critic and that is wholly that of Doug Walker, but it's Bashad. It's Bashad's property.
In fact, that was one question I've been seeing a lot of people asking on Twitter. If Doug doesn't like this stuff, because some people are assuming since he's gone silent, he doesn't like what's being said. If Doug doesn't like it, why doesn't he leave? You've explained exactly why. Mike Bashad actually owns the rights to the Nostalgia Critic. So at that point, it's not like him and Rob could separate themselves and go do the Nostalgia Critic. They'd leave themselves open to lawsuit. So that's kind of the main thing that we're seeing on the matter. And considering how much of a blind eye Doug has turned, I don't know if he necessarily cares. I know that's a very callous thing to say, but given that we have no statement from him to work on, I don't know how to take his opinion and that of Rob Walker either. And it sounds to me like Rob Walker is one of the bigger offenders in the testimonies. In particular, people might read the testimony of Linkara and Lindsay Ellis in regards to a scene in To Boldly Flee where basically Mecha Kara, one of the villains of Atop the Fourth Wall, is, well, raping the nostalgia chick kind of thing. And thankfully, before I actually was really, really worried because I hadn't seen anything of Lewis objecting to this. I'd seen Lindsay Ellis had, but thankfully when he put out his statement, he said, yes, he was actually one of the first people to object to this and not see the point of it. And even then Rob's negotiation was not better. So it's one of those things that I'm actually kind of glad I've never seen To Boldly Flee.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. And as much as I want to say, it does sound to me like Mike Bashad is a prick and Mike Ellis deserved to get fired. And a lot of these charges are absurd. The other thing that I also have to acknowledge, at least to me, is that considering how bad things got, I'm honestly surprised some of these creators didn't leave any earlier than they could have. Linkara has given some good reasons. Like, he tried to change things from the inside. He tried, as a friend to Doug, as a friend to Mike and Rob, he tried to change things from within. But then he eventually said, there's no point in doing so. I can't stop this train wreck from happening. And he stepped away. But then after the whole incident with Allison, like, some of the other people say that they left because of Allison and they knew about it, but they still stayed on for like 2 or 3 months. Not even until because there was no contract, until their contract ended, just they stayed. And that's the thing that I really can't understand. in particular, one testimony that comes to my mind is Yezu Otaku is also in there, aka Jacob Chapman, now on Anime News Network, where he actually blackmailed Mike Machad and said that if I can't remember the circumstances of it, but basically if something hadn't been changed, he would leak all of the chat logs that he had with Mike in them that were basically showing off all of the red flags that we all needed to know about. And he never released them.
I think it was, sort of you take me down, I'm going to take you down with me, from what I recall reading out of Chapman's logs. There's a lot more salacious gossip about Chapman I'm not going to get into, but yeah, for as far as like why other creators may have stayed as long as they have or so on and so forth, I can kind of see it. I mean, I think Kaylin, Mars Girl, I think probably she sums it up pretty well that others probably aren't saying. She was obviously very young at the time and probably a little too intimidated, especially if you want to be a content creator, something to do full time. And, what are you going to do? Leave what was still a fairly lucrative platform, Blip TV, namely, where you're getting at least some decent revenue out of, and you're not going to have to deal with all the YouTube nonsense of Content ID, even long before Adpocalypse and that stuff started setting in. Or or you're just going to cut your losses, leave Blip TV, try to go to YouTube.
Well, but to that argument, I mean, they all had their own individual Blip channels. In fact, Mars Girl actually says this in her testimony. She was originally submitting stuff to the Channel Awesome or Tigwatig Blip, and then eventually was encouraged by, I think she said Brad Jones or one of the others, to just simply make her own individual one and send links in from there on in.
Yeah. And to that, I think it goes further into like just the exposure. I mean, the Nostalgia Critic was the huge draw to the site.
He's the cash cow of it.
I mean, that's why Machad always promoted him above all else, scummy as that is. That's how it was. And so I think the others, just for better and for worse, as much as they didn't like the fact that they were kind of being pushed to the side all the time, they could still kind of, to an extent, count on the trickle-down effect from the Nostalgia Critic. I discovered a lot of similar content creators because of the Nostalgia Critic, because I would go to Channel Awesome when it was still on Blip TV, and I would go see what the other content creators on the site were doing. So there was the bit of trickle-down effect going on. So that's kind of why I see people probably try to put it up, or they just hoped it would get better like Lewis did.
There was enough of a trickle-down effect that when To Boldly Flee happened, people didn't actually know that he was going to retire the character at the end until they read the script. And I don't know if you caught this part, Alex, or any of you guys, but it was strongly hinted that everybody else would retire their characters along with the Nostalgia Critic. And none of them had been consulted on this in any way or form. So it's like, oh, yeah, Obscurus Lupa, you have to retire the character because we're retiring the Nostalgia Critic. But you guys didn't consult me. You guys didn't bring this up with me. You didn't do anything like that. Oh, no, but we were expecting you to do it. And eventually, thankfully, they kind of bent on that one. But then there was also amazing concern that without the Nostalgia Critic, that trickle down that you're talking about, Alex, wouldn't be there anymore.
Yeah. And considering Demo Reel flopped on arrival and the game show was a complete mess, of course they had no choice but to revive the Nostalgia Critic.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that point, I mean, there's a lot of charges to be laid out here. So I guess where the discussion can come into this is, where, like, do we see Channel Awesome recovering from this? And if so, how do they do so? I honestly kind of wonder if I've already seen, I think, one or two of the current Channel Awesome creators after the statement have talked about dropping off. So at that point, do we see like all of the other creators dropping and then just Channel Awesome is the Nostalgia Critic and that's it?
Honestly, it's hard to say at this point. I can only speak for myself. Given that I haven't watched anything from Channel Awesome in years.
Yeah, I haven't even gone to the site.
I mean, to this point, besides the website, it pretty much is just the Nostalgia Critic. The YouTube page for Channel Awesome is still solely dedicated to the critic. and pretty much nothing else goes up on the YouTube page but the critic.
Because wasn't it the like they originally branded it the League of Super Critics or something like that, and then they would feature 4 main creators on it, and then eventually they just rebranded it to Channel Awesome, didn't they?
It wasn't a rebranding. That like they basically abandoned the League of Super Critics channel and then set up the new Channel Awesome channel when Blip went down.
Actually, I think the League of Super Critics was an unofficial channel. I think that wasn't even endorsed by them. Might be
because the intro video that was posted for League of Super Critics did have an endorsed video made by the Walkers. So
okay, because I remember something from Brad Jones quite a few months ago saying his videos were on like an unofficial channel or something, and I can't remember. So I'm probably thinking something else.
Well, that's a problem that all the creators have had, is like you eventually will get people who pirate the videos and just put it up on their own channels.
Yeah.
So, Aldo, you've been kind of quiet on this one. What's your take on the whole Channel Awesome controversy?
Don't have much to take because I've never been a big fan of any of the Channel Awesome content.
Really?
I never jumped into anybody until Lindsay Ellis went on her own, and I love her essays.
I will say she's gotten a little bit better since she's
she's gotten tons better. I've gone back and watched some of her nostalgia check stuff, and that in comparison, that was shit. But like, I'm not here to fanboy over Lindsay Ellis.
Sure.
Lindsay Ellis and Todd in the Shadows are really the only 2 people I ever watched, and I watched them long after they split off, so I didn't even realize they were part of that until this whole controversy started. Or really, even Lindsay Ellis I knew because of some of her old uploads of nostalgia check stuff.
Yeah.
So I really don't have an opinion. I mean, it's shitty. It sucks. But I mean, this kind of goes back to the thing that like Philip DeFranco always says is don't put all your eggs in one basket. You always want to expand. You want to have your own brand. You want to have your own thing because somebody's going to screw you over. And in this case, we always want to think the best of, YouTube creators. We always I don't know. I feel like we as people like to pretend or think that YouTube creators are a lot more honest than Hollywood, but I mean, wherever there's money, there's going to be people trying to get that. So,
I mean, I think that there are honest creators out there. I mean, I try to be as much as I possibly can, but I agree with you. Like some of the people that we've held in such high regard as we would in celebrity status. For example, for me, Total Biscuit has kind of gone this road where we just kind of lose faith in them because they aren't the people that we thought they were. Another one that actually comes to my mind who was a pillar of Channel Awesome at one point, Spoonie. I was a big fan of Spoonie for the longest time, but after his separation from the channel, like I tried to stay a fan to him. I really did, but then he kept on going down this whole, I'm going to spend 80% of my day on social media or on Twitter and not do anything, especially when I didn't even know he did this, but he had like what was it? He had an absurd amount of Patreon money that was going to be going towards a Spoonie experiment movie and did nothing with it. It was like he was getting like $5,000 a month on Patreon because of this promise and never attributed to it. So, I mean, there are that I think like there are some Channel Awesome creators that I think are still being as honest as they can. I think Lewis Lovehog is one of them. I think Linkara tries to be as honest as he possibly can online. I think Mars Girl is another one that tries to say as honest as possible, but then there are others that just don't live up to expectations anymore.
Yeah.
So I will also say this, because Alex and me have kind of been bouncing this. I mean, I remember way back when we started our Let's Play channel, we submitted our channel to Tigwatig. Yeah. And I don't know about you, I'm kind of glad we never got accepted.
Yeah, me too.
Because something tells me like within 2 hours we'd be gone.
Yeah, I actually remember because when they had an open call, I submitted some of my videos, and the response I got was that I was put in the maybe pile because of Monster Clash. And I'm in the same boat. I'm just like, bullet dodged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just kind of wondering, like, something tells me, because when I saw this controversy, I was seeing people like Tipster and Pat the NES Punk talking about like their attempts to get into Tigwatig, and just looking at how management were running things and how people kind of treated each other if they were not part of that guy with the glasses. It was not pretty. And so at that point, given the personality that I have a feeling, honestly, within 2 hours, I would have rocked the boat enough that we would have lost it.
Yeah, you would have pissed someone off, I'm sure.
Well, because somebody would have told me what to do, and I was just been like, okay, well, I'm willing to abide with it this one time, and then as soon as they start rocking the boat with me, I'm gonna rock back.
Yeah.
That's just kind
of I also submitted my own channel individually, as well as the Draken Shadow channel. And given my pretty sporadic upload schedule, I'm sure I would have been kicked off too. Just considering some people were kicked off as little as just for being a day late. I can only imagine how I would have been if I'd been put on there.
Or even better, if you don't bring in any revenue at all, because one of the testimonies in this document that pisses me off the most, and then we're probably going to have to move into the entertainment portion, but I don't know how many of these you've actually read in the document, but I used to be a fan of the Nerd to the Third Power podcast when that happened, and when I saw that the creator of that actually had a testimony page, I had to read it, and his treatment alone from Mike Machad already tells me, like, if I brought Geek News there, I would not have appreciated it, because the second that, like, he didn't get a whole lot of spotlight time on the site, and because of that, he was ridiculed endlessly by Mike Machad, just going, why the fuck should I care about your podcast when you don't do any views on this channel, as far as I'm concerned. That was a lot of his interactions with this CEO. So yeah, this guy drives me nuts. And the sad reality is I think the only viewable change that people would be more respectful of and actually might come back to the channel to support it is if you could dethrone Mike Machad. The problem is he owns the rights to the Nostalgia Critic. How do you dethrone the guy who has those rights?
Yeah.
You can't.
You can't without taking your flagship franchise. And after that, it would probably be over anyway.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Like, the only way would basically be through litigation, but as we've often said on this show, lawsuits are financial wars of attrition.
Pretty much, and I don't think that Doug and Rob can fight that. So that's kind of the sad reality here. I'm almost kind of wondering if this is, like, the other question that I wanted to get into is, what could Channel Awesome do to fix this predicament? They've had their chance. They made their statement, and they've basically signed their death knell. Because the way that this statement actually played out is such a non-apology that I don't think that's that non-apology alone made me unsubscribe to Channel Awesome. I hadn't done it yet, but as soon as I saw that statement and I saw it on one of Bars Girls live streams, I'm just like, yeah, I'm unsubscribing.
Yeah, something, if they want to try and win any good graces back, is to have Doug Walker give a statement, not that non-apology crap PR statement they just did. Something a little more ideally genuine. I get it. You got to be PR and you got to not admit fault. That's something they teach us in retail. Don't admit fault. Don't apologize if a customer gets hurt. But they got to find a way to apologize, and they need to do Doug, because Doug is the public face of the channel, and they need to lay out a course of action. I say it so much when companies always say, we're going to do better. We're going to do better. Great. You're telling me you're going to do better. I want to see you do better. I want you to tell me
words.
I want you to tell me how you're going to do better. Then I want to see that.
Yeah. It's sad. It's the abusive boyfriend problem where they abuse the people. They say they're going to do better, but it's that vicious cycle. You
know what, Romney, that pretty much encapsulates the entire situation here, because that's pretty much how everybody's been acting on it. So, as much as I feel bad for the content creators and understand what they kind of went through, that's kind of what they did too. And, in some cases where you could have made it easier for future content creators, you didn't, because you kept silent. So overall, there really isn't much else to do aside from, final thoughts. If people want to show their distaste for Channel Awesome, obviously we're all going to answer it this way, but how do you do it? You unsubscribe. You vote with your dollar here, people. You don't watch their videos.
Unsubscribe and go subscribe to all the other content creators if you like their stuff, of course. But
yeah. Like in our case, where we're individually subscribed to Atop the Fourth Wall, and I'm sure Alex, you're individually subscribed to Obscurus Lupa. You show your individual support for them, not for Channel Awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. All right, so moving on into the entertainment portion of the evening, since we've already used up the Prozac budget. Holy crap, K2SO is going to get mad at us again. But at least we get to go on a more silly story as well. A wild Uwe Boll came out into the open recently in regards to the film Rampage, which is getting ready to come out next week. So Uwe Boll, not pleased with Rampage. Not pleased at all. In fact, we have a couple of statements from him, and I'm just going to go ahead and read his tweets. This is his viewpoint on the new Rampage movie. Fuck this new fake Rampage movie. Uwe Boll is going to sue Warner Brothers. Asshole. Totally serious. Will update soon. It's okay. It's okay. We have the update. Okay, press release on front page of UweBollRaw.com. Uwe, don't go to that site, please don't go to that site. Uwe Boll goes on Rampage against Warner Brothers Rampage. Share it across the internet. The public has a right to know. You rip Uwe Boll off, then you go to the tribunals. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't challenged them to a boxing match yet.
Well, it's kind of hard to challenge an entire company to a boxing match.
I meant Dwayne Johnson. He's already shown a lot of distaste for Dwayne Johnson.
Well, again, keep in mind, this is Warner Brothers. They probably would hire, I don't know.
I mean, it's also Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I mean, it's also Dwayne Johnson. I don't care like how crazy stupid you are. It's not a fight you want to get into.
No, man.
Well, to be fair, there is nothing that substantiates that Dwayne actually has any boxing experience. Because yes, he's got the strength, but if he doesn't have the training, Uwe Boll would easily knock him down because Uwe Boll has had the training.
Dude, this is Dwayne Johnson we're talking about. He'd put the gloves on and then decide, screw you, rock bottom to the ground, and then do the people's elbow just for good measure.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have boxing experience, but he has some wrestling experience.
He has wrestling experience. He has football experience. He can run your ass down.
I mean, he could look at me and I'd probably crap my pants. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, you'd crack your pants in awe.
Just like, I wouldn't say it's the ball.
He still looked pretty freaking awesome, but yeah, it's just like, holy crap, train coming through. So yeah, Uwe Boll's not happy about the new Rampage movie. Before we go a little bit more into his viewpoint on the matter, I'm curious. The rest of the panel, me and Alex are going to go see Rampage. The recent trailers have just said, you know what, this is silly enough crap that we could do it. Romney, Aldo, where are you guys standing with the new Rampage movie?
Meh. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, kind of meh. Mainly also because I've kind of had to put myself on a bit of a spending embargo to limit how much money I spend on things, and movie tickets be pricey.
Yeah. They really are these days, and I should know. I'm getting a couple of major events going. So now, just to kind of get back into the story, people might be wondering, so why is Uwe Boll so pissed off? He technically also made a movie called Rampage. It has nothing to do with the plot of the game or the movie, but the fact that it has the same title is what pissed him off.
Does it have a vague connection to the franchise at all?
No.
Well, it's Uwe Boll, so probably not.
I mean, we all know Uwe Boll's not exactly one for adherence to story accuracy when it comes to adapting video games, but usually they make the vague shape of what they're supposed to be based on, right?
Well,
it's Uwe Boll. That's subject.
Yeah, and with Uwe Boll, he never actually got the rights, so it's a case that it's got no connection because he did not have the rights. So,
but it gets better because we actually do have an official statement from his website on the matter. So here we go. We are living now in a world where independent movies are dead, and the big players are only are making all the money. Again, he's more fluent in German, so it's not coming across. That they then use developed brands and ideas from established series such as My Rampage films in order to make even more money is unfair but typical. The new Rampage movie will shrink my brand and my revenues I can make in the future with my Rampage movie and my German tax evasion. It also confuses the audience. I want that Warner's change the title, especially because the new movie has nothing to do with a Rampage. I'm reading this verbatim, people. And it looks more like Jumanji 2 and is one of those typical feel-good popcorn bullshit movies that the studios use to brainwash America even more. All these kinds of movies, including Transformers, Avengers, are helping the military-industrial complex in America to win and have retards like Trump be American president who would say that the earth is flat as soon as they think they can benefit from this.
Wow. So just to give a little bit of context, not that it matters, because really the person who doesn't understand what Rampage
Bull has
is.
context.
Yeah, so he's quoting his 2009 movie, which in the Wikipedia article, and I quote, it was Bull's first film to gain mainly positive reviews.
Wow.
This is
really? Okay.
Yeah. With story about Bill Williamson, a 23-year-old man living with his parents and working a low-paid job as a mechanic, pretty much goes out on a rampage and kills a bunch of people with like an AR-500.
Are you kidding me?
So it's basically
so this is Hatred, the movie, the game.
Yeah, so it's no, Romney's a little bit more accurate. It's more like Postal.
All right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it did pretty decently, and it's called Rampage, and it has has 2 sequels. So, I mean, if that tells you, this is probably why he's also angry, because Rampage, Rampage President Down, the sequel to Rampage Capital Punishment, the sequel to Rampage, was released in 2016. So he probably really thinks The Rock was so inspired by the Rampage trilogy.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Like let's completely ignore the fact that there was an arcade game, that there was an NES game, all based on the premise that's in this movie.
Ironically enough, from a director who directed many a video game movie, also unironically from a director who video game movies had nothing to do with the video games. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that he directed these movies, I mean, we have House of the Dead, which from what I've been told is more like Power Rangers than actual House of the Dead. We had Dungeon Siege, which from what I've been told is very different from the actual Dungeon Siege games, or In the Name of the King. Blood Rain, which I guess if there has to be a comparison here, Alex, there was a vampire chick with I guess a D pair of boobs.
She also had red hair. Don't forget that.
But I don't know if that's enough to tie it together. And then also obviously the Alone in the Dark movie. Oh, that was so bad.
So
bad.
Yeah, and to kind of give clarification, the German tax loophole was closed like a number of years ago, so that's also why Bull is probably really angry, because he can't abuse German tax law to make money anymore.
But hey, do you want to know how he's serious, everybody? Because the live chat gets to see this and nobody else. Here's how you know he's serious, because he flipped the bird at it. Jiminy Christmas, man.
So his Rampage movie doesn't even have a Metacritic or a Rotten Tomatoes score. So
I'm not surprised by that at all.
I was trying to see how, quote unquote positive it was, but
audience score for Rampage 51%, but no critical tomato meter.
Let's look at reception.
And 6.3 on IMDb.
Slash Film gave the movie a 7 out of 10.
Jiminy Christmas! I didn't realize Ronnie, I didn't realize we'd go this direction. We actually are going into the filmography of Uwe Boll.
Hold on, I really love this this quote from Slash Film. Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day, and it was bound to happen eventually.
Even a working clock?
Not even a broken clock.
But even a broken clock, okay. Oh, jeez.
I love it.
Yeah, thoughts on this, guys. I think I've pretty much made my point clear. Uwe Boll is barking up the wrong tree, and he's not getting anything of his demands.
Nope.
I really don't think he's actually gonna try anything. I think he's just trying to drum up publicity.
Yeah, that I'd agree with that.
But he has this to say on Ready Player One. Ready Player One? Ready Player fucking retarded is more like it.
Sheesh. The guy doesn't even try. But then again, looking at his movies, that doesn't surprise me.
And I love that this is in the chat. Aldo Gomez, 2018. I can't believe the words I'm about to type. Uwe Boll's latest film is good. Very good.
That's not my quote. That's another quote from
is it? Okay.
That's from film.com.
Yeah, I completely missed that. Thank you, Alex. The Ready Player One comment he made. Jiminy Christmas. I mean, I think that pretty much sums up the story, doesn't it?
Pretty much.
This is Uwe Boll in a nutshell, everybody. Glad you joined in. Final thoughts before we move on.
Oh, I like this in the comments section of the article. Uwe Ball has to be the saddest character in film. Something tells me in 15 years James Franco is going to make a movie about his life.
Damn it!
Oh, watching the hell out of that.
Yeah.
I need to
Guy,
get that.
no, actually, no. I'm not gonna agree with that because Seth Rogen has to play him.
Nah, I
He's
don't
got
think
the
Seth
film
Rogen.
for it.
I don't think Seth Rogen can do the German accent, though. That's the thing.
That's okay. I don't even think Uwe Boll can do a German accent. I've heard interviews from him.
Now, see, better one to place Uwe Boll, Jay Baruchel. You got just make him even look even more scrawny.
All right. I'll go with you on that one. So the next story that we have is actually just kind of we've done this every year for those who are joining us brand spanking new. In case you didn't know, April 1st or April Fool's Day has passed. And while we actually did make our own April Fool's video, and we encourage you guys to check it out on Directed Shadow, basically it's where I cheated on Alex with our buddy Brenton to take over the channel and rename it The Gamers Remastered. And yeah, Alex didn't take too kindly to it, say the very least. But it's okay. It's okay because Alex was dealing with problems of his own because his channel got taken over by Cubase. So I technically walked away with that one. So let's just go ahead and go into the April Fool's pranks that happened. I'm pretty sure all of us at one point on April 1st or even before that, because I actually heard a lot of these jokes hit the day before, and go over some of our favorites of April Fool's Day 2018. I will already tell you guys one of my personal favorites, and I believe it was from Roku, basically creating streaming socks. That's like one of those things that I kind of wish actually existed.
Wasn't that from like last year?
Well, yeah, there were the Netflix socks, but the Netflix socks weren't actually an April Fool's joke. Those were like an actual product they were trying to make.
Oh.
No, and this one was from Roku. So it was like the Roku streaming sock. So if you don't want to reach for your remote, you could technically press something in the sock to either hit the home button or tell the next episode to engage on. They even advertised that it wasn't all that complicated. Like it only was able to engage the next episode or the next movie or stuff like that. But Jiminy Christmas, man, even I looked at that and went, that'd actually be pretty damn handy sometimes.
Right? I'm looking at it right now.
And even better is like, I'm trying to bring up the picture right now. The socks in particular are actually, I believe, of like individual toe socks. So at that point, each one, I hoped like each toe had its own functionality.
Oh, they're not individual.
Oh, they're not individual.
No, unfortunately.
Ah, dang it. I'm trying to bring it up right now.
I have it up.
Yeah, no, never mind. They were not individualized, but it was painted like Roku, and they're the Roku Happy Streaming socks. One in particular I know that Alex saw was the 8-bit Pokemon Go that happened. So basically all of the Pokemon in Pokemon Go lost their 3D models in favor of the original 8-bit or 16-bit models. So you had those going on. Any other favorites that people want to mention out there? I had the streaming sock, but I don't want to take up the whole time here.
Oh, Final Fantasy 14 actually had a really good video where they released, where they talked about releasing Final Fantasy 14 Go, gathering
That's
outside.
right. Yeah, the mobile app. Oh.
Yeah, you can take your phone and use it like an ARG to like mine for materials while in the real world. And they also announced that they would release the Final Fantasy 14 Go gathering stick, which is just a selfie stick, so you could use it to actually bash your phone into rocks and trees.
Yes,
gathering materials.
Yep. Another one that actually comes to mind that I think both me and Romney would love is that Capcom announced Hotto Stone, which was basically Hearthstone but with Street Fighter.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. It's like Hearthstone but with Street Fighter.
Yeah, but I mean, they actually do have like a real mobile game that is pretty much that. So it's less of an April Fool's joke and more of a that's sad.
True, yeah. Joke. But I giggled. I also giggled at the Blizzard one where they basically said, "Oh no, you don't have to play Hearthstone the game anymore. You could take it with you, and it's basically Pogs." So yeah, that's a thing that you can get now. Is you could play Hearthstone Pogs. The '90s are back. Let's see. Another one that happened was the GeForce Academy. This one actually threw off one of my friends. They thought it was real. So the GeForce or NVIDIA was going to offer a Academy of Gaming You can enroll today and select your major to instantly receive your acceptance letter. Take a picture with your letter and post it on Twitter to enter for a chance to win a new GeForce GTX 1080 Ti and other cool stuff. But they actually thought it was a legit academy that they could go and learn how to make games in.
Oh, there was also the PlayStation board game.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Which part of the gaming mechanics was you could only play if you had a PlayStation Plus subscription, and your movement was based on how many months you've actively had that PlayStation Plus subscription.
And the best part about it was like those little controller miniature pieces. Oh my gosh, they were so. I want them now. I don't even care. I want them.
I love their description because they say a non 4K resolution game board.
Yes, a non
books, 6 of them, in fact.
So sorry, guys. If you were hoping for that 4K resolution game board, you might have to pay extra.
Intense local multiplayer action for up to 4 players.
Yep.
Large and small dice. So many dice.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, you cut out there. So many dice, and then my wife is actually pestering me on this if I don't actually mention it. The Vacuum Sort, the revolutionary brick sorting vacuum from Lego. So they basically released a vacuum that would not only separate out the junk on your floor, but would take the Legos and put them into their own individual pails.
Oh.
And you know what? As a parent, that's actually a really good idea.
That makes me angry because it's not a real idea.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, I have a kid. We have Lego-like things, and I get sick and tired of stepping on them already. So that would have been great if it was real. But no, it is not. Let's see. Any others that we can actually mention that the people like? I do know that people wanted Horizon Zero Dawn fans enjoyed this one, which was the Nil body pillow.
Oh, yeah. That was fun.
So the head of the sun worshippers, the embiggen mode in Rocket League, which pissed off a lot of people because they wanted it to be real. So you could actually make very big Rocket League cars in there. And and the other one that I like is Razer launching Project Venom. So you can become the machine and take your gaming skills to the next level. And also become Bane. Guess that's the way that works. I mean, we've already mentioned a bunch of these other ones. Romney, Alex, were there any others that kind of caught you by surprise?
Honestly, given that I kind of avoided social media on April 1st, I actually didn't really see that many.
I mean, I did the same thing, but like the day after, I was looking for all the roundup lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see much either because I was too busy on Sunday because you and I saw Ready Player One. And
yeah, that's right.
Then I got home and had to do other things, so I pretty much missed the whole thing.
We were also waiting on the reaction of our April Fool's video just to see it. And strangely enough, some people actually thought it was legit. People thought it was an actual accident that happened, and Alex got so mad he busted our recording rig. I can assure you, no, that's not what happened. Oh, another one that I should probably mention that people would appreciate is EB Games is officially seeking a junior meme associate. I would like to point out a junior meme associate. They already have a senior meme associate.
One of those jokes that just screams corporate and old.
Yeah.
Get it.
It's dumb, but it's dumb in that good kind of way.
Yeah. So I will say one April Fool's joke that I did think was kind of clever was Netflix acquires Seth Rogen.
Oh yeah,
that one was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
I kind of giggled at that one. Let's see. Oh, and then we also have. Oh crap! There's a bunch of them that and people, you guys can go out and check out all of these awesome jokes that were being made, but thankfully they weren't as gross as the edible pizza box that we covered a couple of years ago, and I can't even remember some of the other ones that have happened in previous years, but I remember our reaction to the edible pizza box. But it's okay because it's going to be driven to you very soon. And its own automated pizza van that will crash into everything.
That is also edible for some reason.
Some reason, yes. So, final thoughts before we move into the last story of the evening, because there's not a whole lot to add to this one aside from April Fools. It was awesome. Especially like as a Blizzard fan, there were a lot of really great memes that came out of there. My wife especially liked the live action World of Warcraft mount. So you would write an actual. And by that, I mean a Photoshop image of a rabbit and a Photoshop image of a frog. That's as real as it gets, people.
In case you want to channel your inner ninja, you can ride a giant frog.
You can, indeed. Oh, and apparently the Soda Stream one, which actually had Game of Thrones Thor Bjornsson advertising the soda soak. But yeah, there's so much more. I'm going to encourage people to just go check it out on their own time. And so let's go ahead and head into our last story of the evening, which for as much fun as we've had with Uwe Boll and with April Fools, now we have to hit the somber meter again. As we just barely found out, I think it was yesterday or Wednesday, wasn't it, Alex?
It was yesterday.
The first story? Yesterday?
Yeah.
When Studio Ghibli co-founder Isao Takahata has died at age 82. So the creator of Grave of the Fireflies, amongst some of the other more artistic pieces in Studio Ghibli, has sadly passed on. I'm looking for the actual cause of death that we have there. I think it was just natural causes, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it says here that he was in a hospital at the time. His health had been on the decline since last summer. So,
so things were not doing so well for him. But yeah, he sadly passes away at 82. And I actually remember a lot of sites covering the rumor that he may have passed away, and then eventually we got confirmation. I hate to even say this. Like, I know I've seen a few Takahata movies. I know I've seen My Neighbors the Yamadas, and I like that. But I think that's probably the only Ghibli movie that I've seen that he directed so far. And I did appreciate what he actually did, but I kind of got the reasoning a lot of critics had against him, which was he was more in tune with Japanese sensibilities than he was compared to Miyazaki, who could step outside of it.
I don't think he can. I think they're both. I mean, I don't know who you're quoting, so I don't know what their experience is. But I mean, really looking at both their filmographies, they're both really about the same when it comes to those sources. I think the thing that set Takahata aside more than anything is he really kind of went out of bounds when it came to like typical Ghibli art. Half of his movies don't look like the typical Ghibli movie.
I was going to actually say, like, I think Grave and Pompoko are the only ones that look like they're within the Ghibli art style.
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, and even only yesterday to a certain extent, but at least based on the Takahata films I've seen, while Miyazaki kind of skewed younger with a lot of his films, barring a few exceptions like The Wind Rises, Takahata's stories, he tended to like to cover a few more adult themes with some of his work. Things that didn't really skew as younger. So stuff like Only Yesterday, Grave of the Fireflies, even Pompoko and Princess Kaguya to a certain extent kind of skewed a little bit older compared to Miyazaki's work.
Yeah, I was going to say Miyazaki was more of the outlandish, adventurous, more kid-friendly adventures that were in the Ghibli canon. And then Takahata would be one of those everyday kind of savor each moment, adult, more themed character or artistic kind of films is where Takahata would go compared to Miyazaki. The only one that we can't put in here is and I'm not remembering his name off the top of my head, but the guy who made Whisper of the Heart, who I think also kind of went in that particular vein too.
I think that's Goro Miyazaki. So.
No, Whisper of the Heart was Yoshifumi Kondo.
There you go, Kondo, because he passed away shortly after.
See, that's why.
No, Goro Miyazaki is, I think, I haven't seen any of his movies just yet, but I think he goes more into his dad's or he goes more into Hayao's
because I know
boat, doesn't he?
Yeah,
a little bit. Like one of his movies is fantasy based, but the other one is also more slice of life based. So he can go either way right now.
Yeah. So I mean, it is sad. Don't get me wrong. Like just the fact that I haven't seen a whole lot of Takahata's work doesn't necessarily mean that I don't acknowledge his efforts in Studio Ghibli. I think he actually was another cornerstone along with Hayao Miyazaki, where Hayao was more willing to go the more mainstream route, but stay within his own confines. Takahata was one of the few people that I think was actually trying to step outside the box and show that Studio Ghibli could do more than just that. And I mean, it was enough to garner the attention of Central Park Media when they released Grave of the Fireflies. I think Disney just barely released Only Yesterday.
No, not Disney. Disney's not releasing anything anymore.
I know. That's G Kids was the ones that's released Only Yesterday. And I think they're the ones who took over the Studio Ghibli license. Correct me if I'm wrong. But because I remember I actually went to the theater in Utah that showed only yesterday when they unveiled the new English dub after the complex rights limbo that only yesterday was stuck in.
Yeah, so G Kids has like the I think exclusive distribution rights for the Ghibli movies, except for The Wind Rises, because I think Disney still has distribution rights on that one.
Actually, I remember Disney did have the initial rights for Kaguya as well. I think that was one of the last ones that was released.
I don't think they did. I bought that one on release, and that one was G Kids.
Yeah, but I remember during the theatrical run, so I'm gonna double check.
I don't think they did a theatrical because that's the thing too. Like that G Kids was angry about was because Disney would never do theatrical releases except for Miyazaki works, which is really a real shame because Takahata's stuff is really film worthy, which is why the G Kids Summer of Ghibli festivals are like really good.
Takahata's works did well in Japanese theaters, didn't it?
With the exception,
because I think even Grave did fairly well. I know that
Grave only no offense, not that it's a bad movie because Grave is excellent by its own right. But Grave of the Fireflies really only did well because it was released alongside Totoro. It was a double feature.
Oh, no. The reason I was bringing up Grave is because I know that only yesterday and Ocean Waves, I think, is the other one that people bring up for Takahata. They both did fairly well.
Ocean Waves actually is not Takahata.
Oh, it's not? Okay, my bad. So
sorry, I have like so to give you guys a little bit of context why I'm all like being a try hard about all this stuff. So I'm actually in preparing to like relaunch my stuff. I'm doing a year of Ghibli movies, so I've been watching all the Ghibli movies in release order.
Okay.
So I have like a spreadsheet with who's the director, producer, blah blah blah.
Awesome.
So like I have this right in front of me. Also, return of the spreadsheets. Who saw that coming?
Well, that's what you're known for, man. So, I mean, at that point, I'm glad that the spreadsheets are intact. What about Arrietty? Was that Miyazaki?
No, that's Yonebayashi.
Yonebayashi, okay. Because that was another one that I was kind of wondering if it was also in his.
Pretty sure Miyazaki wrote the screenplay, but I know it's Yonebayashi for the director.
Okay.
It's Miyazaki, for the script.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say, like, I think the most outlandish Takahata ever got was probably Pompoko. Most of his stuff is pretty serious work.
Yeah, and even Pompoko itself is fairly serious.
Yeah.
All things good, it's like it goes into the fantastical, but it's still commenting on very serious issues since it's about the raccoons losing their home.
I honestly think one of the better Takahata movies, and I think if you haven't watched it, now is as good a time as any to dive into it.
Pompoko is?
No, Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Kaguya?
Yeah, same here, especially. And I remember, people may remember from my review of the film how he actually played around with the medium of animation in ways that we just don't see even in the West. Like, again, the scene I always point out is in the scene when Kaguya is upset and how he actually made the lines jagged and wild because it matched the emotion. That's relatively unheard of. And so to echo all those sentiment, that'd be my pick for my favorite of Takahata's films.
Unfortunately, the only direction that I can go with this, because I haven't seen Grave, I got enough people telling me not to see Grave because it would not help. And I also got kind of equally shoved away from Pompoko because people said I wouldn't enjoy the outlandish nature of it. So my only movie I've ever seen from him was My Neighbors the Yamadas, and I liked what I saw. I liked the Yamadas, but it's definitely one of those things where I've always wanted to go back and finish the remaining Ghibli canon that I hadn't watched, including Kaguya, because I knew that it had gotten an Academy Award nomination. So I don't know. This might spur me into finishing that so that I can see Kaguya. And
you could also watch Only Yesterday. That's also another Takahata movie.
Now that that's available, and I believe it has a dub, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it has a dub, and Daisy Ridley voices the main character. I remember.
That's right. Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah, and there's even for people who want to even see some of the obscure stuff. He was also the director behind some of the book adaptation anime, so like Anne of Green Gables, Girl from Heidi, the Girl from the Alps, Horace, Prince of the Sun. He was also the director behind those films back when he worked at Toei before coming to Ghibli. And so if you want to go fully retro, those are films he also worked on.
Mind you, we're talking like 70s and 60s here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, his most recent work was the 2013 Tale of Princess Kaguya, which did actually get a Best Animated Feature Film nomination at the 87th Academy Awards. So you guys can check that out. And yeah, you're not the only one saying it. A lot of people are actually saying that's his finest work. It's probably his magnum opus, considering the work that Takahata has actually been able to take on.
Yep. So much so that was the focus of the documentary Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness, which focused on the two final films of each of both Miyazaki and Takahata. With Miyazaki, it was The Wind Rises. With Takahata, it was Tale of Princess Kaguya. That was when the documentary was made.
What was the documentary?
Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness.
Yeah,
also distributed by G Kids.
I want to see if I actually want to watch this documentary just to see if my theory is true that The Wind Rises is technically, like, I know that a lot of people have called Spirited Away and Mononoke his magnum opus, or in some cases they've even gone as far back as Nausicaa. But to me, The Wind Rises is his true masterstroke, because it associates more with themes that he actually cared about.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, like, it's a fascinating documentary because that's the documentary where the whole anime was a mistake quote tends to be pulled from, because that's where Miyazaki was being critical of the current anime climate, was in the documentary in the Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness.
So, but yeah, final thoughts on this one. I will definitely miss Isao Takahata. I would have loved to have seen a lot more of his work make its way to the States. We have Only Yesterday, we have Pompoko, we have Kaguya, we have the Yamadas, but it would have been great to get any other stuff here.
Actually, you just listed off like 90% of his, like...
Well, but we can't get Grave anymore, can we?
Yes,
yeah, great.
Can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
it's released through Sentai Filmworks.
Oh, Sentai? Okay. I was
dub for it.
because I was gonna say I don't think Disney never picked it up, right?
No. That's because it was
so it went from to Sentai from Central Park, or did somebody else?
No, I think Sentai picked that up initially, didn't they?
No,
Central Park Media had it.
Central Park Media had it.
Yeah, because Sentai Filmworks didn't exist until after ADV dissolved, because they were an offshoot of ADV.
Oh, that's right. It's also technically not released by Ghibli, even though it is produced and animated and held as part of the official Ghibli canon.
Yeah.
But it's released by a different company. I forgot what the name is. But
I just remember that it's part of the Sentai or the Central Park Media releases that they actually did, because it was probably one of the few ones that Central Park Media got critical acclaim for grabbing the rights to.
Are you thinking of Topcraft, Aldo? The kind of predecessor studio to Ghibli?
No, because it was during the Ghibli era, because it was released alongside Totoro,
Right.
but it was released under Tokuma Shoten.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, which is really weird because it's fully accepted into, like, quote unquote the Ghibli canon, but not like officially released by them.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, like, I don't. Disney never had the rights to it, but yeah,
it
was still able to.
Looks like that was their former parent company from 85 through 2005.
So obviously, my thoughts and prayers go to his family, but I also want to give him the accolades he deserves. He is definitely a creator that people need to learn from his masterstroke, especially from what it sounds like is Kaguya. I think pretty much he's one of those creators from anime you need to learn from, because he's helped shape Ghibli. You know, as much as we want to give credit to Miyazaki, he also deserves a lot of credit as being another cornerstone within it.
Especially when you consider the relationship both Takahata and Miyazaki had with one another, where it was very much the classic friendly rivalry, where they were both close they both worked together, but also more or less saw each other as rivals, and frequently they both pushed each other to do more. And well, now we have a media empire as a result.
And I think one of the other things that people don't realize is that even though he really wasn't involved with animation for Ghibli until Grave of the Fireflies, he was the producer for the first two films, Nausicaa and Chaos in the Sky. So he helped bring those movies to light, even though...
Yeah, because he had a good relation. Like Romney brought up that he had a contentious relationship because they competed, but at the same time, they also were very good friends. Hence why they decided to go into business together. So, usually that's never a good sign for any kind of business partnership, but for these two, it worked. For these two, it worked. Because I think he didn't have a production role, but he had some kind of credit on Castle of Cagliostro too, which is the unofficial first Ghibli film. So at that point, like, well, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the one with the spreadsheet right now.
That was like 5 full years before anything, and really the only real involvement from Ghibli was just Miyazaki.
Oh, so Takahata wasn't a part of it? I thought
No.
he had another role in there. Okay.
No, although Takahata did work at Toei, and so there are probably a number of shows he did work on.
Yeah.
But it's the same case where the reason Miyazaki worked on Castle of Cagliostro is because he also directed episodes of Lupin the Third.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people do. I will fight people for that, but that's it's a good movie regardless. I just don't think it's the unofficial.
And I will say this for the official record: David Hayter as Lupin is not as bad as people make it out to be. I like him, but then again, I like David Hayter, so This is Snake. Can you hear me, Goemon? I'm sorry. I think I broke Aldo. So final thoughts on Takahata from the rest of you.
All I'll say this is, if you haven't already, if you could only watch one film from Takahata, Tale of Princess Kaguya, that is my recommendation.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, I need to finally watch it. It's been sitting on my shelf forever now.
Wait, you haven't watched it?
No.
I feel like Aldo and Romney should have schooled you by this point.
No, it's not really a hipster movie. It's Ghibli.
And when the wind rises. So.
And everything comes back to the hipster.
Actually, Romney, thanks a lot for telling me about that documentary. I just bought it on Amazon.
Nice.
I have seen Grave of the Fireflies too, so eat it.
Did you get it streaming or a physical copy?
Streaming.
I'm going to get it too.
It's like $7.99 on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah, but
okay, that's not horrible.
Alternately, if you have Verve, it actually is also available streaming if you have Verve.
Oh, it's available on streaming if I have Verve. Ooh.
Oh, too late for that.
Yeah, because I know like one of the major documentary imprints partnered up with Verve. I think it's called Mubi. And so yeah, if you don't want to buy Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness and want to check it out first, it's available on Verve. That's
right.
vrv.co.
And that is actually all the stories that we have tonight, and appropriately enough, around the time when we actually need to call it a night. So thank you guys so much for watching. And if you guys want to get in contact with these and with myself or these other content creators, let's just go ahead and start things off because I think it's a lot more simplified. Aldo Gomez, how do people get a hold of you if they want to ask questions, if they want to get your feedback on other stories we covered tonight, etc.?
You can find me on most social media under the handle Steamboat Taco. It's all one word, capital S, capital T.
Okay. And that's pretty much it, right? Because we don't have anything else going. I have a feeling we're going to get asked about this whole experience that you have going, but
yeah, I mean, so just to give you the condensed section is I don't know. I was working with a lot of people, doing a lot of things, and none of it really kind of going very far. So I decided to take a break. It was only supposed to be a couple months. It turned into almost a whole year.
Okay.
But now I'm kind of getting ready to launch some stuff, but I'm really not advertising any of it until it actually launches.
Okay. Yeah, I was mainly talking about the Ghibli stuff since you brought that up. So.
Oh yeah, so actually that's part of the thing. So once I launch my my portfolio site again, I am doing a review. I'm doing 2 movies a month. I already have 4 of them written up. I just don't have them posted. So I'll be reviewing all the Ghibli movies in order. And I think my next movie I'm supposed to be reviewing is Kiki's Delivery, and only yesterday.
Oh, nice. Okay. So yeah, and we will obviously keep you guys in the loop as soon as we hear anything from Aldo on his portfolio site getting back up, so you guys can follow him. And in the meantime, I would highly recommend you guys follow him on Steamboat Taco, if for no other reason than he posts really awesome memes sometimes. Not sometimes, all the time. He outdoes me a lot of the time.
I love memes.
Yes, you do. And then you also like to flaunt your statue of Horizon Zero Dawn, and you make me cry.
Oh yeah, I do that sometimes too.
Because
I've been buying an obscene amount of statues and figures. It's bad.
Confessions by Aldo Gomez. So Alex, the Shadow Blazer, how do people get a hold of your content and reach out to you?
You can find me here on YouTube. ShadowBlazer3000 is my channel name, and I produce anime content and reviews and the occasional Let's Play. And find me on Twitter, where I always post out when new videos go live, at AlexJShort.
All right. And also, just because, in case you guys haven't seen our April Fool's video, you can also follow us both on Drac and Shadow, a Let's Play channel that both me and the Shadow Blazer do together. And yes, while we did have the whole cheating debacle, and we're sorry if we actually upset gamers fans that were hoping it was a legit thing. No, but we do actually do content pretty much every day of the week minus Sunday at this point. We actually have tons of crap going on, including our 100 subscriber playthrough of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. So you guys can check that out. Stephen Romney, how do people get a hold of your content?
Well, you can find me both on Facebook and on YouTube under the handle Studio Ghost Utah, because yes, I upload my videos both to YouTube and to Facebook in case you're getting fed up with YouTube's, well, bullshit like I am. And I'm also on Twitter at Romney Reviews. And for this week's Romney's recommendation, some of you may notice that I've been posting my word counts over the past couple of days, and that is because I am taking part in Camp NaNoWriMo, which means I am sitting down trying to finish the novel I started in November. So what does that mean to you? Well, it means I'm probably not going to upload a lot of videos during April, but as part of the research for the novel, I've been watching a lot of martial arts YouTubers, including this recommendation, Fight Commentary Breakdowns. He's a YouTuber who will look at both fights between trained fighters, as well as dissect videos that are posted by quote-unquote self-defense masters that offer advice that will actually get you killed. Now, the video I'm going to direct you to is a staged fight between a Wing Chun master and an MMA fighter by the name of Xu Xiaodong, and it's actually pretty fascinating given that Xu Xiaodong is an MMA fighter out to kind of basically, he's trying to be the Harry Houdini of the martial arts world, challenging masters who are promoting fake martial arts and basically showing that, hey, these arts don't actually hold up in a real fight. So that's this week's Romney's recommendation is Fight Commentary Breakdowns. I'll be posting the link to the video on my Twitter.
Wow. What's funny is I actually know about this guy, and not because you just mentioned him, but because for some reason, I've been on a real Joe Rogan binge on his podcast, and somebody linked a video from about this guy to him. So that was interesting. Okay. Very awesome. And if you guys want to follow my content, you can obviously subscribe to my channel right here on YouTube, which is Drac2326. And you can also check out the various YouTube content that I do here, from Let's Plays to reviews to first impressions of brand spanking new games. You guys can check it all out. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Drac2326. That's where most of my updates actually go out towards. Or you can also follow me on Facebook for my page there. It is simply look for DracLP, and you'll be able to get access to all the content that goes up on the channel, including the podcasts and whatnot. If you want to support the podcast, though, the first thing that we recommend that you guys do is come out and support the RSS feed, which is geekyweek.podomatic.com. That's the best way and most open way to be able to come out and support the podcast, be able to support the RSS feed. And you don't even necessarily need to go to Podomatic, because you can check out Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions on iTunes as well as Google Play for Android users. So go ahead and check that out. Or you can follow the podcast on social media after hopefully you've subscribed to the RSS feed by either looking up on Twitter or Facebook, Geeky NRO, and that'll give you access to our Twitter page or our Facebook page, where you can get up to the minute information when we're going live, the stuff we'll be talking about, the stuff we might not even be talking about, and also where our live Discords and our live chats are going to be. So you guys can check that out all there on Geeky NRO. And also, if you want to be able to submit stories, you can submit them to geekyweek@gmail.com. And that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your love, your patience, your support, all of that fun stuff. And of course, we'll be back next time for even more geek news, reviews, and opinions. So for me, for Aldo, for Alex, and for Romney, we'll see you guys next time.